Setup and configuration of Metalogic's storage point. One of the first pieces to configure of storage point is going to be logging. Navigate to Central Administration, click on the monitoring link on the left, click on Configure Diagnostic Logging, and look for the storage point node. Storage point will leverage ULS logging for event and trace logs. By default, event level is set to error and trace level is set to high. These are ideal for normal operations. When troubleshooting, you may select the node you wish to edit and switch on verbose logging. To continue the setup of storage point, let's navigate back to Application Management and run through the general settings of storage point. To do this, click on the General Settings link, and let's start from the top. The Content Migrator job moves blobs throughout the blob lifecycle. It will move blobs out of the system cache and migrate them to an endpoint, as well as moving blobs to another endpoint based on your archiving rules. Archiving rules are part of profiles that determine what endpoint content should be moved to at any point, meaning not just when files are uploaded to SharePoint and initially externalized, but also at any point throughout its lifecycle in SharePoint, blobs can be moved from the content database to a particular endpoint based on an archiving rule. We will go over more about archiving at a later point in the session. Endpoint Capacity Monitor is a job that will determine how much space you have on a particular endpoint. At any point, the Endpoint Capacity Monitor job will bring an endpoint back online when an endpoint is under its free space threshold. Scroll down to Collecting SharePoint Log Files. This is an easy way to aggregate logs across multiple servers, especially when interacting with our support team. It will collect logs from all servers, and you can even filter on date and time. It's particularly helpful for our support team because when aggregating logs this way, the end file will actually contain the farm's version, the name of all servers in your farm, and your storage point license. Scroll down a bit until you hit the Large File Support option. Large files is a great way to ensure that you can upload any sized file to SharePoint. This function actually does not use remote blob storage at all. What StoragePoint will do is it will add an ASPX page that points to the actual location of your blob. When a user clicks the ASPX page, it'll make a request directly to that location. Simply enable it, and a button will appear in all of your SharePoint libraries, allowing end users to upload multiple large files at one time. Below large file support is the use of breadcrumbs option. By default, this will be switched to yes and will leave a BLNK file when blobs are migrated out of the system cache to an endpoint by the Content Migrator job. If switched to no, the actual blob will be left behind in the system cache and garbage collected based off your retention period. Keeping the switch to yes will actually save a lot of space in your system cache. Now that we've gone over the key settings in StoragePoint, let's scroll back up and review how to schedule these timer jobs. Using the Content Migrator job as an example, let's ensure you include large files if you're using that feature. Run this job as often as possible based on the resources that you have allotted to this server. Under Advanced Job Settings, you'll see you can increase the number of threads that processing will take place on, and even designate master and worker services. Selecting a master will allow you to designate the worker server and change it to a different server if you want the processing to occur on a different machine.